And now, let's welcome from the UK hosts of our conference, the Astronomer Royal and past President of the Royal Society, Lord Martin Rees. I give you Lord Rees.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Royal Society, I'm delighted to welcome the Planet Under Pressure 2012 conference here to the UK. Participants have come from 100 countries. They span the range of expertise that's needed to tackle humankind's greatest challenges. I'm myself an astronomer, and I'd like to offer a cosmic vignette to start with. For 40 years, we've been familiar with the iconic images of our planet from space. Its delicate biosphere contrasting with the sterile moonscape where the astronauts left their footprints. But suppose some hypothetical aliens had been watching the Earth, not just for 40 years, but for its entire history. What would they have seen? Over nearly all that immense time, 4.5 billion years, things changed very gradually. The continents drifted, the ice cover waxed and waned, successive species emerged, evolved, and became extinct. But in just a tiny sliver of the Earth's history, the last 1/1,000,000th part, they'd see the patterns of vegetation altering much faster than before. This signaled the start of agriculture. The changes accelerated as human populations rose, harnessing an ever larger share of the planet's biomass. And the atmospheric CO2 rose anomalously fast, mainly through burning of fossil fuels. Well, if they understood astrophysics, the aliens could confidently predict that the biosphere would face doom in a few billion years, when the sun flares up and dies. But could they have predicted this unprecedented runaway fever less than halfway through the Earth's life? And what might they see if they watch us for another century? Will this spasm be followed by silence, or will sustainable stability ensue? As we all know, the answer depends on us. So even in a concertinaed perspective, stretching 45 million centuries into the past and even more into the future, this century is special in the Earth's history. It's the first when one species, ours, has the planet's future in its hands. We've entered a new geological era, the Anthropocene. Humankind's collective footprint is growing fast. Pressures on energy supplies, food, water, and other natural resources will be aggravated as the population rises to a projected 9 billion by mid-century, especially if Africa and India, where most of the growth will be, narrow their gap with the developed world in per capita consumption, as we surely hope they will. The resultant ecological shock could be aggravated by climate change and could irreversibly degrade our environment. And biodiversity is a crucial component of human well-being. We're clearly harmed if fish stocks dwindle to extinction. There are plants in the rainforest whose gene pool might be useful to us. But that's not all. For many environmentalists, these instrumental and anthropocentric concerns aren't the only compelling ones. For them, preserving the richness of our biosphere has value in its own right, over and above what it means to us humans. One thing I did while Royal Society President was to initiate a study chaired by Sir John Sulston called People and the Planet. Its focus is on population trends and their impact. It'll report next month in time for Rio+20. It'll emphasize that the world's carrying capacity isn't a single headline figure, but depends on lifestyle, technology, and so forth. And that actions taken now, women's education especially, can affect the population trends beyond 2050. Modern engineering and agriculture could provide food and energy for 9 billion people. And other advances, especially in healthcare and information technology, offer grounds for being techno-optimists. But we can't be so optimistic about the politics, about nations achieving the cooperation that's needed if the benefits and the sacrifices are to be fairly shared. We need better science and to apply the best science, but that won't be enough. The challenges, technical, economic, and social, could hardly be more momentous. But they're global and they're long-term. And they're therefore, frustratingly often, trumped on the political agenda by the parochial and the immediate, by issues on a timescale shorter than the electoral cycle in particular. And that's why high-profile meetings like this are so important. That's why we especially welcome also so many young participants, people with longer horizons and a more global outlook. I'll close with a quote from the great immunologist Peter Medawar. I quote, "The bells that toll for mankind are, most of them anyway, like the bells of alpine cattle. They are attached to our own necks, and it must be our fault if they do not make a cheerful and harmonious sound." Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was excellent. Lord Rees, so it's down to us to make a cheerful and harmonious sound. Huh? The bar has been set very high indeed. Big thank you to Lord Rees there.